Long before law had books, before men wore robes and wigs, before the black robes and gavels of colonial courts found their place in society, the Igbo people of Nigeria had already established a profound and complex system of law. The traditional justice system known as Alụsị, rooted deeply in Igbo spirituality and ancestral authority. This was not merely a set of man-made rules, but a divine order that governed truth, morality, and communal harmony. This story is not just about law. It is about truth, about community, about the sacred balance between the seen and the unseen. Join us as we uncover what this system truly is. Its origins, its structure, its sacred rituals, and the spiritual logic that binds it all together. Discover how the Igbo justice system was designed not merely to punish, but to heal, to restore harmony, and to uphold the moral fabric of the people. Don't just watch, like, share your thoughts, and subscribe. Spread this truth. Let others feel it too. Alụsị, in the traditional Igbo worldview, is not merely a deity, but a sacred force, a living presence that governs specific aspects of life, nature, and justice. Each community honors its own Alụsị, a spiritual manifestation of Chukwu, the divine source of all things, recognized and upheld by the people in a sacred space, the shrine. These forces are not appointed like envoys. They are expressions of divine order, channeled through nature, ancestors, and spiritual structure, ensuring harmony within the living world. More than a spiritual entity, Alụsị is the soul of Igbo traditional justice, a divine rhythm that underpins the ethics of everyday life, weaving harmony between spirit, community, and morality. It was not fear that held the people close to Alụsị, but reverence, a sacred intimacy that shaped how they spoke, how they kept their word, how they honored another's pain. Even in silence, it listened. Even in darkness, it watched. That is what made it sacred, not as a god to be appeased, but as a living truth, woven into the eternal covenant between man, neighbor, and spirit. The story of Alụsị begins in the sacred breath of creation, when the universe was young, and Chukwu, the infinite source of all things, breathed order into chaos, and purpose into all that would live. From this eternal source came the Alụsị, not merely spirits, but forces of divine intelligence, guardians of justice, stewards of the land, voices of fertility, healing, rain, and truth. They did not walk among men, but spoke through signs, through wind and flame, through dreams, omens, and the unseen fabric of life. Each bore a name, each a sacred task. Yet all were bound by one law, to uphold balance. But Alụsị was more than force. It was presence. A shrine rooted in communal soil, always present. Not hidden, but standing openly, by the village square, under the open sky or beside sacred trees, within the watchful eyes of ancestors, and the curious gaze of children. It was there the spirit dwelled, and the people gathered, not merely to pray, but to confront truth. These shrines were not symbols. They were living courts of the land, where oaths were sworn, where wrongs were unearthed, where harmony was restored. The Alụsị shrine held more than clay and carved wood. It cradled memory of taboos, rituals, covenants, and ancestral breath. Justice was not forged there. It was unveiled. A reflection of divine order, carried on chants, revealed through divination, spoken in dreams, and etched in silence. This Igbo justice system did not rest on rigid hierarchy, but on a sacred, functional order. Each role woven into the whole, from divine consultation to communal restoration. At its heart stood the Eze Alụsị, priest and mediator, the living bridge between deity and people. His shrine was court, his voice, divine channel. He led rituals, received confessions, and delivered judgments rooted in spiritual truth. Priesthood emerged in two ways. Sometimes it fell to the clan's eldest, closest to the ancestors, natural custodian of shrine and taboo. Other times, the deity chose its vessel through divination, one marked by vision or hidden gifts, then initiated and entrusted with sacred duty. Surrounding him stood the Ndinze, titled elders, men whose lives embodied integrity. They served not in rivalry but in balance, ensuring the priest's judgments echoed spirit, not ego. They deliberated with care, guarded ancestral codes, and stood as witnesses to justice. Yet the true foundation of this system was the community, the people. Justice in Igbo life was never private. The people brought forth the case, witnessed the proceedings, upheld the verdict. Their presence ensured transparency. Their memory preserved accountability. This layered order, priest, elders, people, made justice sacred and legitimate. It was not imposed but discerned, debated, and delivered with spiritual care. Within this chain stood a vital figure, the Dibia Afa. Without him, the will of the deity remained veiled. He was no mystic, but a called one, drawn by vision, restlessness, signs beyond the ordinary. Only after this spiritual awakening could he be guided by an elder Dibia, a seasoned keeper of mysteries, who trained him in the sacred discipline of Afa, reading patterns, decoding signs, interpreting cosmic speech. His knowledge was not guesswork, but a sacred science, rooted in vision, tested through ritual, and refined by years of disciplined revelation. In matters of justice, his insight was crucial. He divined the unseen, while the priest delivered the seen. Together, they guarded the sacred flame of truth, order, and restoration. In a world where reality often wears a mask, the Dibia Afa tears the veil. Through him, the divine speaks. And justice is not just served, but sanctified. Rituals are not mere appeasements. They are spiritual protocols, designed to clear Oshu and taboo, negative energies and sacred violations, that, left unaddressed, disturb the balance between body, spirit, and land. Each rite has purpose. Some cleanse, removing Oshu from the path. Some protect, shielding the community from ancestral backlash or unseen retaliation. Others restore, repairing breaches of taboo. Through divination-guided restitution, the Dibia Afa plays a vital role, interpreting the Alụsị's will and prescribing offerings. A cock, a goat, kola nuts, palm oil, or sacred tools like chalk and camwood. Specificity matters. Each offense, each energy, each deity, each shrine, demands its own voice. Sacrifice is not to feed a hungry god, but to mend what has been torn. When animal blood is called for, it signals gravity. Justice summoned in full. Through ritual, justice breathes. Wrongdoing echoes beyond the human. But even there, redemption awaits. Not through concealment, but confession. Not through escape, but reparation. When a dispute arises or a crime is suspected, it is not hastily delivered into the hands of the priest or brought before the Alụsị. It must first pass through the people, through channels of communal accountability, dialogue, mediation, and elder council. Only when these human avenues are exhausted, or when the matter is too spiritually weighty, is it carried into the sacred. Murder, theft, oath-breaking, or misfortunes that defy explanation, these belong to the divine tribunal. The process begins with solemn presentation. The complainant speaks not just to the people, but to the presence of the deity. Words are measured. Here, truth is not requested, it is required. To deceive in this sacred space is to betray not only men, but ancestors, earth, and gods. A lie spoken before the Alụsị is no mere offense, it is an invocation of unseen consequence. The accused must swear to honesty, calling the deity to witness and judge. What follows is investigation, both physical and spiritual. Elders probe motives and memory. The Dibia Afa may be consulted to divine hidden truths, using sacred tools, cowries, seeds, ancestral symbols. Titled elders serve as moral compass. They challenge, they question, they guard the neutrality of the priest. Their role is not prosecution, but discernment. Their duty, to ensure that no hand bends the path of truth. Once truth is unearthed, through confession, evidence, or divination, the path forward reveals itself. It may lead to ritual cleansing, to restitution, or to public atonement. In grave cases, it may demand exile, or invite spiritual consequence. But always, the aim is restoration, not vengeance. The Alụsị seeks not to destroy, but to correct. It heals what is broken, and upholds Adonani, the moral rhythm of the land. Justice, in this world, is not a mere pronouncement. It is a sacred act. A weighing of transgression and consequence. In the presence of the divine. And when judgment is delivered, through the mouth of the priest. It is not the will of man, but the voice of the gods. In Igbo society, justice takes many forms. Cleansing rituals to wash spiritual stains. Restitution to restore broken communal ties. Sacrifices to repair what words alone cannot reach. But to lie in this sacred process is to summon judgment swift and unseen, not by man, but by the laws etched into spirit and soil. Falsehood sows misfortune. Illness, failed harvests, unseen decay. Balance returns what was broken. Quietly, persistently, until truth is restored. This is not punishment. It is spiritual correction. A ripple in the unseen. A healing through consequence. Now imagine, what if modern courtrooms worked this way? What if justice wasn't just about facts, but about truth? What if every lie told under oath summoned a force, not of law, but of balance? Justice, in its purest Igbo form, is not merely a verdict. It is a reckoning, a realignment of spirit, society, and soil. In today's world, do lies told in courtrooms truly go unpunished? What if the unseen realm still keeps score? Even when legal systems do not, what would justice look like? If spiritual balance, not just legal procedure, was the final measure. This is the sacred heartbeat of Igbo justice. A law not written in ink, but engraved into breath, land, and memory. Then the silence was shattered, crushed under colonial boots, echoing with the sharp cracks of guns and broken prayers. Robes of empire followed, British law, colonial decrees, Christian missions. The shrines were called evil, the priests, heathens. Alụsị was demonized, stripped of voice, its sacred grounds razed or hidden beneath fear. The people prosecuted, accused by laws not their own, caught between two worlds. Where once the Dibia Afa whispered beneath the orji tree, divining truth through sacred tools. Now sat a judge, robed in black, dispensing verdicts behind iron bars and stone. The gavel replaced the gourd. The signature replaced the oath. The chants that once bound kin were silenced, rituals severed from meaning. They did not just lose a system. They lost a heartbeat. And yet, Alụsị did not die. It retreated, lingered, waited. In wind. In whispers. In the stubborn memory of the earth. Some shrines still stand, defiant. Some Dibia still listen, resolute. And in many towns, when the court fails, the people return to the shrine. When confusion reigns, they consult the spirits, even after consulting the judge. The question now is not whether we choose one over the other, but whether we can weave both. Must justice choose between the gavel and the Colonial? Must one die so the other may rule? Or can we forge a new path, where tradition holds memory, and modern law ensures fairness? where priest and judge walk side by side. Let the Dibia speak to the unseen. Let the courtroom serve the scene. Let ritual restore the soul. Let procedure guide the hand. Justice breathes fullest not in rejection, but in union. When law listens to lineage, and lineage learns from law, a new justice may rise, rooted, relevant, whole. Alụsị is more than a spirit. It is memory. It is truth. It is a people refusing to forget who they are. And in the heart of tradition lies truth. And in truth, peace. What do you think? Can Alụsị and the modern court coexist? Drop your thoughts. Let's build a justice system that honors both spirit and structure, land and law. Subscribe for more stories of Igbo wisdom and tradition. Like, share, and may the spirits guide you into balance.